hey, if you're seeing this, that means you're either getting ready to watch the book review or the movie review. Now, being that this is October, I'm doing these on Dracula, as you probably already know. Now, I'm going to give you a warning. There's no way I can do either one of these without some spoilers. So if you're one of those, it's going to get all bent in shape because I give away a couple of things. You don't want to watch this. Go read the book, go watch the movie, then get back with me, and we'll see if we agree. Other than that, if you don't mind, we're going to have some fun, and I think you're going to enjoy it. Now, these aren't this is a story, because it's the same one on both, that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to anybody who's under the age of, say, 14 or 15. So definitely keep in mind that PG rating, especially on the movie. There's some visuals there that I just don't know. I don't know if I can in good conscience not say anything about it. But, you know, hey, they're classics. If you dare, enjoy. Hey, welcome to movie review number 2. And of course, if you've seen my book review, you already know that today, Bram Stoker's Dracula, or as some just call it, Dracula, of course, from 1992. Real quick, I'm not going to focus so much on the story plot on this one. Since this movie is so true to the novel, I'm going to say this. Go back, watch my movie review if you want that. Of course, spoiler warnings for both these videos. On this one, I'm going to focus more on the movie itself, the way it's put together. Starting with, of course, you know, the cast. Good Lord. You know, you've got Anthony Hopkins playing Professor Abraham Van Helsing. Genius, even though he doesn't quite get the Holland accent just right. Yeah, you know, you can forgive him for that. Of course, you know, Keanu Reeves plays John Harker, which I'd have never cast that man for that role, but, you know, I think that if he wouldn't have been so typecast, following the Bill and Ted movies, and of course then later The Matrix, that he'd have turned into a heck of an actor. So I don't really hold that against him. You know, the more I watch this movie, especially having just watched it again here recently, I mean, really, who could have thought? And of course, you know, you got Gary Oldman playing Count Dracula. What a performance. I mean, I'm serious. He will put chills down your back. And of course, you've got Winona Ryder playing Wilhelmina or Mina Harker. Again, one of her best performances. This movie really, I'm amazed that it didn't do more for some of these actors' careers. Of course, at the time, it was a complete blockbuster. Now, gonna move on to story. Not so much, but of course, you know, it kept so true to the novel. There's a few liberties that they had to take, but it was so very few and so minor as far as offenses, if I can say it that way, that many people are more than willing to overlook them. Now, you know, I would even say that, you know, for the flow of the story, it was more than necessary. Now, of course, that's taken from, you're basing a screenplay off of a book that was written as a set of journal entries, letters, news reports that were all compiled together. They did masterfully on redoing this. Now, of course, I wish I knew the guy who did the screenplay for this, and I'm sorry, I should have memorized that name a little better, I guess, because it's escaping me right now, but they did an excellent job of translating, rethinking, and making this work on screen. Visuals, as far as I'm concerned, cutting edge. I remember seeing this. I didn't go see it in the theater, of course, because I was too young at the time. I think I was 10 years old. But, of course, I think it was a year and a half later, it was at the movie store, and I remember this being one of the first I'm not even sure if I want to say horror flick, because whereas it definitely falls under that category for the type of story it is, it's more of a psychological. I'm going to say it's more of a thriller. But I remember sitting with my folks and my little brother watching this movie, just freaked out. Not so much being scared, but thinking, where's this story been all my life? You know, as far as I knew until then, Count Dracula, well, that was Count Chocula. You know, he sold cereal. You know, who'd have thought? But the visuals in this, and I'm not talking just special effects, I'm not talking costuming, I'm not talking makeup. I'm talking about visually, the way they did this movie, the scenery alone, well worth watching. The manipulation of light and shadow. Some of the first CG effects you'll see in here, like the scene where Dracula is transformed into fog coming in to the room. Unbelievable. Whereas you don't get the effects like you would be used to with some of the older Bela Lugosi movies, where it shows like a rubber bat being flown on a string or anything like that. You get to see Dracula turn into more like a bat-like demon. Or, let's see, there was the scene where, in the same scene you see him transport from that into backing up into a closet with these red eyes staring at you, and I don't know how they did that effect, where it was so flawless with where Gary Oldman's eyes were. I don't know if it was added in with a computer, I don't know if it was an analog effect of some sort with probably an early LED, but to transport from being the Bat Demon, fall back into the shadows with those red eyes, and then as soon as they shine the light on him from the torch, millions of rats just boom, falling to the ground as he transforms into rats and runs out the room. Unbelievable effects. Now, you know, like I said, whereas this movie didn't necessarily scare me, but the way it dug into your psyche with the things that happened, with the way they delivered the material, really blow you away. I'm going to say something rare here, okay? And it's because it is a classic, and because a lot of people have a hard time reading the book and the way in which it was delivered. I'm going to do something rare here. It might be the only time you ever see me do this on this show with these reviews. I'm going to say, watch this movie first before going and getting the book. Because, you know, one, you get so much more visual, you have a better understanding of who these characters are and the linear story itself, okay? And you're not going to... I really truly believe that you're not going to lose anything from watching this movie and then going to read the book, okay? This is a classic story. People are familiar enough with it that, you know, you pretty much know what to expect. You know what's coming. And plus, a lot of people aren't going to be able to get through that book. You have to work your way through that book. There's no secret about it. Though it's an enjoyable read. Very rewarding as you go through it. But, you know, it's worth the movie, because then you have the characters, you have the imagery, you have the scenery to accompany you through that book. It'll be a very valuable aid. And plus, you'll get to enjoy all the little subtleties in the book still with the psychological aspects of it, with the way in which it's delivered as a first-hand account per character. You're getting into their heads when you're reading the book. As you're watching the movie, you get to watch the events unfold as a third party. So, yeah, I would say watch this before you read the book. Now, obviously, if you're watching these reviews, I gotta go the other way. Watch the book review before you watch this movie review. Just because I'll go over the story a little bit more in depth there. Now, of course, it's happening a spin-off, which, you know, if you watch the Daily Show during the week, then you also know that one of my favorites is Mel Brooks' Dracula Dead and Loving It. I encourage you, after you watch this movie, go watch that movie. You'll get many of the little jokes and whatnot. Now, was there anything about this movie that I did not like? Surprisingly, no. Really? If I had to, and this is a stretch, this is a real stretch, I would have liked to have seen probably some more footage of Renfield, since they took with the liberties they took. I didn't see why they couldn't take a few more with him, because obviously in the other screenplays and within the book itself, to a limited extent, you get a little bit more mention of him. However, I understand they had to cut time somewhere. You have to, cut the fat out and keep the meat and potatoes. You know what I mean? It was necessary. I get it. It made sense. So, like I said, that was a stretch. Favorite part in the movie? Well, so much of it is visual. There's so much to enjoy about this movie while you're watching it that's hard to pick a favorite. But I would have to say that it would... not even the climax, even though, that's definitely up there. There's the scene where it's Mina and Lucy are running out into the garden. Well, excuse me, Lucy's being drawn out into the garden by Dracula. Mina follows her out. That's a neat scene with the storm and everything going on, the hedge maze. But is that my favorite? No. My favorite would be the scene where it's much like this, where it's Van Helsing and Mina, while they're on the chase with Dracula, they're out there by the campfire. Mina begins seducing him to distract him because the 3 brides of Dracula are coming out to get him. That turns into a spectacular scene. I definitely encourage you to pay attention on that, because there's some subtleties there that I'm sure some of you will really appreciate. On a scale of 1 to 10, I definitely have to give this movie a 10. I literally can't find a complaint about it, okay? Now, there's a couple of anachronisms that people go on about. There's some continuality problems, but you know what? That happens in every movie. If you're really interested in that, go to the International Movie Database. That's imdb.com. They have them all there. But more than anything, I say just go get the movie, enjoy it. I really think this is going to turn into one of your top 10s. I know it's definitely in mine. But I'm going to leave it at that. I know it's a little bit shorter than the last review, but, hey, we were lucky. We had no interruptions, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. Wow. I guess it really just comes down to, if you haven't seen the book review, go watch the book review, you naughty little monkey, because I told you already. Go watch that before you watch this, because I talk about the story itself a little bit more, but, that's part of it. And, hey, Dracula book review, Dracula movie review, happy Halloween. Favorite time of year, man. I love it. I look forward to spending many more with you. And, hey, campfire's burning down. I've really got my piece spoken, so we're going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoy the rest of the month. I look forward to seeing you next time here on the Blue Horse Collective. This is your Master and Commander Blue Horse signing off with Dracula. I think we're going to go watch some of this right now as soon as the fire finishes up here. Signing off, and good night.